Quiet, please.
Thank you, Lord Provost. Lord Provost, item 7C is a green motion by Bailie Elaine Gallagher.
Bailie Gallagher, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Lord Provost. I'm pleased and proud to be bringing this motion in Pride Month, and I'd like to state my solidarity with the people whose experiences we've already heard. I grew up before Section 28, but I didn't come out until my 40s, and the toxicity even now makes me loath to raise my profile. Yesterday, Elon Musk announced that the words cis and cisgender are slurs, and anyone who uses them will be blocked from Twitter. This is a rhetorical game used by people who want to call themselves normal and cast trans people as abnormal. A similar game is to cast this whole doublethink as debate. On the one side of this debate, there is a group of people who want to be able to live their lives. On the other side, there is a group who want the first group not to have human rights, or frankly, to exist at all. That's it in a nutshell. I want to live versus I want you not to live. One of those sides is commonly called extremists. It's not the side that has ever resorted to murder. This is not new. Gay people were presented 30 years ago as a threat to women and children, and Section 28 was imposed to silence discussion with results that we have heard today. It's the same accusation that has been levelled against immigrant communities, black men, Jewish people, and now LGBTQ+ people are the monsters under the bed. These slanders lead to threats of physical violence and death threats. The language used has been described as genocidal. But there were nearly 30,000 offences of child abuse recorded last year, and there remain only 250 trans people of any identity convicted for any reason. There is no reason for a man, and let's be clear, the predominant threat of gendered violence is from cisgender men. No reason for a man to go through the upheaval and bureaucracy and physical pain of gender transition when all he needs to do is follow a woman through a door. And yet in Westminster last week, there was a debate on revising the Equality Act to strip protections from trans people, protections supported by women's groups, which have been successful in managing fair access to gendered spaces. Where is all this coming from? It has a multitude of sources. Establishment liberals in middle age who resent being challenged on thoughtless statements, so they use their positions in the press and public bodies to double down and scream they're being silenced. An ideological gender-critical movement who radicalise people with misinformation, telling young women who are disenfranchised by austerity and mistrustful of police that men in dresses are coming for them in their last safe spaces. And reactionaries, from the thou shalt nots who rant in George Square about sodomites and their rainbow flags, to the would-be fascists of the growing right-wing movements, whose political agenda is the chief source of the groomer rhetoric. Their declared strategy is to use trans people's lives as a wedge issue, and from there to go after reproductive rights as we see now, equal marriage, racial equality, freedom of religion, and further. Last month, a young woman in the US was shamed by her school authority, called gender-nonconforming, and forced to attend her graduation in her underwear for wearing trousers. How many of my women colleagues today are wearing trousers? And how many enjoy their rights to vote and work and choose when or if to have children? Actual sex-based rights. All of these forces align with the interests of the billionaire press owners and the political establishment for whom it suits for us to tear one another apart in their manufactured culture war. Gender recognition is not a concern for them. Preserving their access to oil revenue is. Trans people are just a convenient sacrifice, same as bottle recycling. And meanwhile, they continue to sell outrage for clicks, sell off the NHS, destroy the climate, soak the working people for profits, funnel tax money to their cronies, and eliminate the right to protest. When an anti-trans speaker had a rally in George Square this year, it was attended by Nazis. These are the extremists. And the result of their extremism is blighted lives. Children silenced, bullied, abused in so-called conversion therapy, driven to attempt suicide. People murdered and mourned on the anniversaries of mass shootings and a day of remembrance. What are we to do about this extremism? That rally was countered by a singing crowd led by a drag queen who made it plain they were unwelcome. That peaceful, joyful support of LGBTQ+ identities is the fundamental message of Pride in this month and every month. That is the movement that we in this council must support, the the movement to protect equality and to uphold the identities of people who are doing no harm but only want to live authentic lives. Thank you.